think where you can get off track is if you don't really care about who you're serving. It's the numbers game. That's not what we do. So we are impact over optics. And so we are constantly evolving as the needs change in our community. There are things where a leadership approach, a leadership track of becoming the C-suite is not for some of our girls. Instead, we need to do more relationship building and confidence to get to that leadership track, right? Mm-hmm. So there's sometimes we have to pivot and move to reach the need in the current environment. So that takes that whole family, whatever family means to our girls, and to ensure that our program is impactful year after year.
Welcome back to another episode here on the Hart and Hustle Podcast with another leader in Lindsay. Lindsay, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
I really want to start off just by asking a very strong question. You've been around leadership your whole life. You had 2 principals at home, I believe, last time that we spoke, which is really a lot of structure at a dinner table.
Yeah.
What kind of pressure or power did that really give you growing up? Because here you are, a leader as well.
Yeah. I think I learned responsibility and accountability from a really young age, but then also that confidence piece, because I was around other leaders from, kindergarten all the way till I still am around all the leaders in my hometown. And it's just education and leadership are foundational to my family. I saw both of my parents killing it in the education world. So it was equal. My mom and my dad were both really wonderful principals in their communities. And so I got to see both of being examples in my life.
I love it. And what was your career like before you get here, CEO of this organization? What were some of the things you were doing prior? Did you always think you were going to be in the nonprofit world? Were you in the for-profit? What does that look like?
I did not think I was going to be in the nonprofit world. So I'm an elder millennial. And so, out in the world right now, there's all these kind of stories of the things that have happened kind of as we've been growing up. And so I graduated during the middle of the recession from a small private school here in Indiana. And my options were very limited. So I took an unpaid internship at a place called the Children's Museum of Indianapolis. And I ended up staying there for 12 years in the development department. I started as an intern, moved all the way up into the executive levels. And so it was really taught. I worked my way up and then started to love nonprofit as I was there. I went and got my master's in nonprofit management and public affairs during that time. So I really honed in on the nonprofit side after having that exposure.
Wow. And what's something that when you were at the museum actually taught you surprisingly and prepared you for what nonprofit leadership looked like?
Complete flexibility and being able to adapt on the fly. It's in the museum world, you're always looking out 5 years because you have to build exhibits and do all of that. But at the same time, there are constant moving parts to everything. And having 400 people working at a museum, you had to navigate your way through who the best person was to move a project forward. So lots of flexibility, but also the side of hard work and how teams come together and can really make something great by just putting in hard work and also the knowledge of what is needed.
What a good career. And here you are, you're at Girls Inc. What made you say yes to it? Like this is where I want to, and I'm meant to be. What gave you that idea?
I wanted to, because I have my master's in public affairs, I wanted to have another side of the nonprofit world that was very mission driven. And I have always been called to working with youth, especially girls, in the nonprofit space. And so when this job opportunity came up, I said yes. And I actually came over as the vice president of development, and then moved into my current role as president and CEO. So I came over in a different role and loved it so much that I moved up.
Stayed even longer.
Yeah.
And then took the seat. And you're a big believer of earning your stripes. What's one moment where you had to do just that?
Oh man, lots. It's as an entry level staff member. Sometimes you're, just putting in a ton of hours, and really just showing what you're worth, right? And I think that we're getting away from that a little bit. Of that, there is kind of, you have to start at that ground level, in order to be able to move up into this leadership track. But I've done all the jobs as it relates to some of those ground level, entry level nonprofit jobs. And so I have a deep appreciation for entry level staff, boots on the ground staff, because I did that, right? And so I try to share that with our younger team members, that like, I know where you are, and let's try to work through your goals and how we get you to where you want to be. So I'm a really firm believer in both earning your stripes and also finding good mentors and being a good mentor in the space to help folks grow.
I mean, I love that you said both of those. Find you a good one, and also be a good one as well, right? Because both of those are really, really important on both ends. Let's talk a little bit about Girls Inc.
Yeah.
Let's beyond the programs, the summer lunches, and the clothing closet. Why do you think it's critical to go beyond education? I remember the first time that we spoke, you mentioned that.
Yeah. So, what we do here in Greater Indianapolis is to ensure our girls are reaching their full potential. So we're preparing them for college or career, or really whatever path they want to move forward with. One size doesn't fit all. And so our programs aren't just, this is the curriculum and this is what we're going to teach. It's more of a unique pathway, and the mentorship piece is there too. So we are building confidence in girls in a very, very complex world. It's a complex world for girls. It has been for the past 160 years, right? It's a continuous battle. And so we bring a holistic approach to what we do through ages 5 all the way up to 24. And so that's programming, but that's also opportunities and experiences that maybe they didn't even know about. So a story we like to tell is we work with an organization called Seascope, which is snorkeling and scuba diving, a nonprofit.
Cool.
We got our girls in the pool to learn how to swim, but also learn how to snorkel. And then 50% of those girls self-elected to move on to learn how to scuba dive. So we opened this new world of marine biology, scuba diving, to a group of girls that would have never had that before. And so that is my job, is to make those connections and to ensure that we're continuing to build the possibilities, to unlock the possibilities so that girls can thrive in whatever way they want to.
So good. I mean, who would have thought, right?
Yeah,
a little snorkeling that leads into that. I mean, that's fun too. It's something that people are not exposed to. And I think that's what's so cool when I think about nonprofits. There's so much exposure to new and different things that we didn't grow up seeing. Right. So when I hear stuff like that, it's like, that's cool. I have another organization where she's literally just kind of in the middle of the mountain somewhere. And every weekend the kids go there, they put their phones away. They're in a cabin, they're learning the outside, because let's be honest, we don't have that nowadays. It's not like what it was back in the days. You see kids riding scooters and bikes. So it's kind of really cool to see how you guys are thinking different and outside the box. And another thing you've mentioned is working with families. It's not just for them, right? So what's an example where that shift made really a difference? Because it's working with the families, right? Not just for them.
Yes. So we have a relentless commitment to listening and learning from our girls and our families. We also learn from our partners. We have some school partners, actually somebody that's on our board. We also have a parent on our board of directors, so that we can really understand. We have our ear to the ground of what we really need to be doing. And so I think where you can get off track is if you don't really care about who you're serving. It's the numbers game. That's not what we do. So we are impact over optics. And so we are constantly evolving as the needs change in our community. There are things where a leadership approach, a leadership track of becoming the C-suite is not for some of our girls. Instead, we need to do more relationship building and confidence to get to that leadership track, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's sometimes we have to pivot and move to reach the need in the current environment. So that takes that whole family, whatever family means to our girls, and to ensure that our program is impactful year after year.
And this leadership decision of putting a parent on the board, does that come from Lindsay or?
Kind of, yeah.
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 It makes me think now I'm on the, as literally I said here, I also run a board and I think to myself like, man, how can I strategically place something like that where that voice is always there to keep us on track? That is so good.
Yeah. I believe deeply in a diverse board. And I think sometimes in the nonprofit space, you lose track of that because you're constantly thinking about, fundraising and money.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to that. There's a lot there when it relates to giving time, talent, and treasure, and then also the testimonial piece.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from that educator side, the parent side, community side, and not just the C-suite CEO sitting there. We like those too, but we want to have, the full gamut so that we can make the right decisions.
I love that. How many years have you been leading this organization now?
I'm about in my second year. So I will hit my second year in May.
Sometime.
Yeah.
Okay. Love it. And what's that one thing that people probably misunderstand about Girls Inc. that, and what you guys actually do?
I think they don't understand that we are not just serving big groups of girls coming in during a lunch period and telling girls to be strong, smart, and bold, and then walking away. So that is something we do not do. We do not walk away, right? So if we're going to be in a school, if we're going to be in a community, we're all about the high impact and ensuring that the community is ready for us, the school is ready for us, and that we can really move the needle as it relates to our programs. So it's not just, hey, they're there, go up to their booth and learn more about Girls Inc. It's like Girls Inc. is here. We heard last night that the girls are counting down to the days that it's Girls Inc. Day. And like that to me is like, we've done our job. They can't wait to be with us. That's just really cool. There's so many things that kids can choose to do. And so having girls want to be part of our programs and trust us to be a safe space for them to grow and thrive is really important.
And something else you launched was the Girl Dad campaign. What sparked that idea, and why was it so important to really highlight the role of fathers? I mean, I understand, but I want to hear from Lindsay.
Yeah, you hear when I first started in this position, there was this disconnect of, do you have men in your organization? Are men on the board? How do they fit in? And yes, the answer is yes, because we need that allyship. We need men and boys to believe in girls and women. Like they have to coexist. And so we had heard for some girls or some dads, like, I'm a proud girl dad. And so it was like, okay, that's it. We've got it. And, I think a lot of other organizations have done their own spin on girl dad, but ours is really to amplify that dad voice in our community and the influence. And I actually, this is just weird timing, but I stumbled across the recent podcast that Michelle Obama did. And she was talking about if you ask the average man how they want to raise their daughter, because you love your daughter, they really want excellence for them and opportunities and choice. And that is what the modern dad is, right? And so it completely ties in to what that Girl Dad campaign is that dads want to support their daughters and sometimes don't know how to. And this is the way to loudly go out and say, my daughter is going to be excellent because I'm giving her A, B, and C. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned that I was a dad myself, so it hits a little harder, right? To a little girl, and son as well. But how important it is in a girl's life. How can men actually show up better for young women in our lives?
I think it's not clipping their wings. And I think
Mhm.
that is, I think that's such an easy example, but I'm not sure that it is always recognized. Of if my daughter, because she's my daughter, she wants to be the next CEO of Girls Inc. She's 6, but I keep telling her, "Yep, you got that. You can do that," and her dad
Yeah,
does as well. So
yeah.
it's that not so, the flame, keep it going so that it doesn't matter if she really ends up being that CEO, but she has the confidence to do what she wants to do, can make the
Mhm.
decisions with both mind and body, and being able to really fulfill her dreams. And so I think it comes from moms a lot, because moms,
Yeah.
are go-getters, but when it's also coming from the dad,
Mhm.
and if it's a gender roles, being able to have dad be like, yep, you can do that too.
Hey, real quick, if you enjoying the podcast, we first want to say thank you. And we also just want to give you a little insight of what we're up to at Francis. Some don't even realize that we're working with organizations to help them use AI to create that real human communication experiences, whether that's actually supporting your families, those patients, or the entire community. We're actually creating tech that connects. Check it out, francis.ai. My daughter recently, so I'm a big wrestling fan, so she knows that I do a lot wrestling. So she says, "Dad," and I wrestle with her, pin her 1, 2, 3, and all these things. So she said, "Dad, I want to be a wrestler," and I'm like, "Let's do it!" I'm excited. I'm pumped. You want to be a wrestler? Let's do it. So
Yeah.
no, I get it. It's important. What's crazy is that I didn't have that father figure in my life, and I always say when you don't, there's things you learn, right? You can learn what you want, because now I know as a dad, okay, don't do this, do the complete opposite,
Uh-huh.
right? And I'm showing up here and I'm like, I'm winning already just because I'm doing this. But
Yes.
I actually ask you because clearly this is really important to you as well.
Yes.
Who's that man in your life who truly modeled what allyship actually looks like?
My dad, first, and then my husband, yeah, a second. My dad from the very beginning, again, going back to that,
Mm-hmm.
two principal family, a working mom, working dad. It was always a celebration of, achievements, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
never was, oh, well, you're going to end up in X, Y, and Z because that's what girls do. That was never the
Mm-hmm.
conversation. He's the first person to celebrate any wins that I have. And wins are different for everybody. Mine just happened to
Mm-hmm.
be, kind of in the leadership track. But maybe I wanted to go a different way, and he still would have celebrated those achievements.
I love that.
And then my husband is the same way. I couldn't do this job with 3 kids without a supportive husband, who is my number one champion. And
Mm-hmm.
it means so much to me too that my kids are seeing that modeled, so that my 2 sons and then my daughter, they know how to operate in this space when they're older, and then how my daughter, how her spouse or partner should treat her moving forward.
Shout out to the good husbands out there, right? And
Shout
good fathers,
out.
husbands and fathers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to throw in there for your husband because he's not. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be watching. So
Yeah,
kudos to you, man.
probably.
Kudos to
Yeah.
you.
He's my hype man usually. So
I love it. I love it. Listen, the nonprofit world is truly not easy. It feels like there's like never enough. Whether that could be time, money, people. Now we have these government, cuts going on as well. What's one way you've gotten really creative with limited resources?
yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think how we've gotten creative is that
Mhm.
we have a team that is willing to step into spaces as needed. And so it is not, this is your job description, this is what you do. It is more of this is a family, this is a team. Sometimes we have to step in where the gaps are. We're also really lucky to have some champions in the community that are supporting us in ways of multi-year gifts. that help us kind of have a steady stream of income. And so that doesn't come overnight. Those are relationships that are built over time, but they believe in us. We're able to meet the metrics that are, required of us, but at the same time, they come and they're volunteers. So these big corporate partners are doing the volunteer program, or they're coming to do things like mock interviews with our girls, setting up internship sites. And so it is all about community. You can't do a nonprofit without the community. And that's your fellow nonprofits, that's schools, that's corporations, that's individuals. And so we really lean into that. When things get tight, there's always, wish list opportunities where folks will donate summer camp supplies if we need, boxes of crayons, and we'll have people donating boxes of crayons. And so we really are intentional about when we ask for things, because we know that there's lots of everybody's navigating a really challenging environment, but the number one thing is that we don't turn any girls away, or that there is a barrier for our girls to be in our programs. And so that's my job, is to make sure that we constantly have the funds to be able to do that. So that's it. I mean, that's my hard stance on it, is that we just don't turn anybody away. So we got to figure it out.
You highlight your team so much, and I think that's amazing from a leader to always kind of go back to that team, my team, and what we do. Do you have a moment where your team really had to walk the walk and it really paid off?
Oh, yeah. They walk the walk every single day.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, our chief operating officer stopped in my office this morning and was like, "You're never gonna believe it. We just closed this huge deal." And it was like, we got up and we celebrated, and like I didn't even know that was even in the pipeline, because I trust her so much and her team to do that. And then I get to celebrate and applaud that. Our senior director of advancement stepped in a gap time when we had a couple open positions that we really needed somebody to be nimble to move in that. We have a chief people officer who is just killing it here. We haven't had HR in-house before, and now we do. And so there is this employee career pathway advancement. We're celebrating employees because we have somebody dedicated to our staff, which is really, really important.
I love that. I want to kind of talk into the space of what you guys are already doing, and then what innovation looks like. And when we spoke, you said you're really cautious on the take of AI, but have you seen it actually help your team do the job better? Do you feel like there's some things that may be able to help with marketing and that communication level between donors and maybe internal, external?
Yes. And so when we last talked, I was I was on the fence of the whole AI thing. And I just happened to have spent some time with some of the other CEOs in the Girls Inc. network a couple of weeks ago. And they taught me some ways that they're using it. And I told them one of my goals.
You picked up.
One of my goals is that I was going to do too. And so I am. I now write everything, and then I put it in for editing or condensing. And so I am now in the AI world.
There you go. There you go. I like it. Yeah. No, I think there is a lot of ways. And one of I think I may have spoken to you about this, but the one surprising way that I learned, and this is just kind of having these conversations on the podcast, where someone says, I use it for grant writing. And I thought to myself, like, oh, that makes sense. Why? And I'm a Chat GPT user. Like, I create now my own GPTs. I don't even know how I got here, but I'm doing it. So when I sit here and think about when someone said that, I'm like, I've been using it all the time and never thought about it. And I'm in the nonprofit space. Yeah. So for those that are watching, if you don't know, you can actually use the Chat GPT to help you with those grants. Find those grants as well, because that's the kind of the challenging part, is having to go find them. But you could prompt it to whatever you want to go look for, and within seconds. So I'm happy. Lindsay, come on now. I hear you. Yes, do you think nonprofits are ready for this like tech wave, or are we still playing catch up in the nonprofit space?
So I think, where the dangerous side of it is relying on AI to do your writing for you, right? So I think with grant applications, it is super helpful, especially because there's character counts that are just really tough sometimes they're not word count, they're character count, right? And so being able to put them in to like condense I tend to write a lot, and so we need massive editing for that. That has made my life much easier because I don't have to spend that much time. So I think with the nonprofit space, I think it can really be helpful, especially with short staff and all the length that some of the grant applications and reports take. But there also has to be that other side that you truly understand how to fundraise. And this isn't just asking AI to write your mission statement, right? Because it has to come from the heart too.
100%. I guess I would ask you if you could implement AI in a certain way, whether it's maybe on the website to help navigate, whether it's to help the internal team, external donors, what would you want that to look like?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think with AI, it always goes back to how can we help our girls navigate some of this, and I think that would be a part of it. How can we teach them truly how to use AI in the right way? I was telling somebody in graduate school, if we had AI, like life would have been like so much easier, right? With that extra support, I feel like I'm so old saying this, but like Wikipedia wasn't allowed to be cited during the time of undergrad and graduate school. So now it's a whole new world that we need to help them navigate. So it's not going away. Social media is not going away. So the answer isn't to avoid it. It's to lean in and teach how to use it the best way. So I don't know what that looks like, but I know that we have lots of partners in the community that are helping us figure this out. We're even doing some social media mental health work with an organization called Half the Story. And our girls are leading it. They are helping design the program, and it's not taking away social media. It is how do you put your phone down for a couple of minutes, take a break so that you can get back into the mindset of being able to discern what's real, what's really causing a lot of anxiety, things like that. So the more our girls can be on the front lines of creating these programs, helping execute the programs, the better off we're all going to be.
I like that. And you've only been there, I think you said earlier, just about 2 years, a little over 2 years. What is that thing that you're most proud of? As leaders, I always believe you have this plug and play model, right? You just, wherever you plug yourself into, you're going to be great, amazing at it because that's who you are. What are some of the things you've brought already to the team and that make you really happy and as an accomplishment?
Yeah, we launched a new strategic plan in January that it seems very simple on paper, but it is not. But it has given us a direction that we desperately needed. We have the possibility to expand our programs to reach even more girls. But like I said earlier, we don't just want to come in and then come right back out. So we did a big feasibility study in our community of where we need to be. And 57 schools populated into that and 11,000 girls. And so now we have a roadmap. We're not going to get to 11,000 girls in 3 years, but maybe we can in 10, right? And so we finally have a direction that our entire team is working on. And in this space in nonprofit, it can become so overwhelming. There can be so many priorities and it's hard to even focus on one. So now to have a really clear pathway of the next 3 years. I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud that we're going to increase our girls by about 67% this year. So we're going to go from 1,200 to 2,000. We have that projected. And so that's what our growth looks like. And so it just always comes back to the girls for me. If we're able to really show up for them the way that we say, we've done our jobs.
I love it. And you're so, like you mentioned, is about the girls, and you could hear the passion when you say that. Where's the passion? Is it because you want to set that tone for your daughter? Just because as a woman yourself, you want to be that voice for those that may be voiceless? Where's the passion come from?
I think it's all the above. Growing up, so we are the northernmost affiliate in Indiana. And so I grew up right outside of Chicago on the Indiana side. I'm a not a Chicago. But we didn't have Girls Inc. And I could have really desperately used it. I grew to 5'10" in fifth grade, and that is really challenging for girls during all of that in middle school.
Yeah.
I could have really used the confidence side, the mentorship side during that time. And so I go back to that Lindsay, and I think about her sometimes when we're doing our programs of like, this is what she would have needed moving forward. And so there's all kinds of girls that are going through all kinds of different things. And so it's important to me that we are showing up for them. It is deep in my soul. This is what
No, that's good. That's
is
good.
needed. And so it's all the above. I also want to make sure that equity is something that we're always focused on because it's just so important that everybody can be on a pathway to success, whatever that means.
Truly amazing. And for someone's listening who's inspired, what's one real way they can actually support the mission today? And some people just think it's, donating dollars, but it's not. Can you kind of different ways, maybe you can get some assistance to the organization without having to make a donation?
Yeah, absolutely. So Girls Inc. is actually a national organization. And so there's 75 affiliates in both the United States and Canada. So if you are listening and you are not from Indiana, you're from a different state, I encourage you to go to the Girls Inc. Website and look at the different affiliates, because my sister CEOs are just as passionate as I am about this work. We talk almost every day. We have these group chats of like, are you experiencing that? How are you handling that?
I love it.
And so we all need volunteers, we need donations, but we also need that testimonial piece of if you want to be out there helping girls, if you've made an impact, connect with us.
Or if you want to make an impact.
Yes, if you want to make an impact. Right. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Some people don't know where to even go, and this is the perfect place, really that woman leadership. So I definitely love what you guys are doing. You're now one of the women at the head of the table. What do you want the next generation of girls to know about taking the seat? Because I think that's important as well.
I think it is, this job is really hard. And being able to understand some boundaries as it relates to moving into leadership roles and ensuring that you're there's a self-care piece of this as well. But because you have to show up, you have to make sure that you're pouring into yourself so that you can show up as your best self towards your team and the constituents that you're serving. I also will always say, you never know what's around the next corner. Things are not linear. If they are, congratulations. I'm glad you didn't have any of the perks. I'm jealous. No, it's, you never know what pathway is going to happen, what obstacle is going to be in the way, whether it's a recession or a pandemic or whatever else is going on. There's always going to be some type of barrier that you have to overcome. And that's where those female mentors, the places like Girls Inc. become really important, because we can help navigate those barriers.
If we fast forward 5 years, what's your dream for Girls Inc. of Greater Indy?
That we are on our way to serving those 11,000 girls.
I think you are. I mean, with that increase that you're having this year, that is major. If you keep that up, you're definitely on track.
Yes, absolutely. That. Yeah. I know that we're really thriving, and we're in all the areas that we need to be in, and that we've really, expanded our reach.
All right, so we're right into the blind question.
Okay.
I know that we got here so quickly. Let's flip the script. If you had to write a Girls Inc. mission statement based on your life, not the organization, what would that actually say?
Oh boy, that's not the blank question I had. So what would it say based on my life? Oh boy, I think it's
put you in the hot seat. Listen, it's a blind question for a reason. Gotta make you think. Gotta get you creative.
Yes, absolutely. I really do. I think it's not about luck. It's about hard work. It's about ambition. Ooh. And it's about the people you surround yourself with. I think is what I would go with. So, I think oftentimes people see successful people on paper without seeing the journey and the grit that was put behind that. So that would be my mission statement.
I like that. And that's why we create the Hard and Hustle, so people can see the Hard and Hustle behind what the work's being done. Because I am a believer. When people say, oh my, you're so lucky. And I'm like, if you only knew the nights I couldn't sleep, or the times that I had to really pick myself up and I'm in my head, imposter syndrome. We all go through it. We're human.
All of it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's how do you said just kind of the good foundation, your husband, your father, your mother, like that's the people that really continue to pour into you when sometimes we were dry ourselves. So I love it. What was your blind question to the next leader, Lindsay?
I would like to ask the next leader of how they show up for their community.
How they show up for the community. I love it. All right. This is always so fun to hear some of these things. No, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see who actually the next leader is. You know, it's from different nonprofits. It's always so cool. I think when I thought nonprofits, it was very just very small. But as I sit here and really get onto this podcast and have these conversations, you start realizing, man, and nonprofits are in any and everything. And that's why I believe if someone has a passion for something, find you an organization that needs you, because organization needs passionate people, you know, passionate volunteers that just want to make an impact. And that's what I realized in the nonprofit space, and hoping that you guys that are watching are also kind of getting that from some of these conversations. Like Lindsay's kind of the one that wasn't a nonprofit world, but really started to dive in, even started to educate herself more. So kudos to you, Lindsay. Lindsay, we truly appreciate your time today and taking the time to kind of just tell us a little bit more about Girls Inc.
Yeah.
Be quite honest, I didn't know it until you told me about it. So this is why we have these conversations.
Awesome.
So I appreciate you so much, Lindsay.
Yes, I really appreciate it.
Guys, this has been the Hard and Hustle Podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode. Laters.